Okay, McLaren, if you're listening, this is for you. Listen, I can only shamelessly reapply for your marketing positions that reopen every 3 to 6 months so many times. Please just put me in, coach. I can help. I am available. Help me, help you. I just call me. Give me a call. Give me a message. Let me know. My DMs are open to you. Let's go.
Welcome back to Break Check. This is episode 8 of season 2, our Australian Grand Prix recap. A lot of stuff to talk about. The end of this race, the mix-ups, the red flags, the safety cars of it all. Megan has a tirade to go on. I'm sure she's got a little bit of news to touch on. Megan, first, how was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend is great. Now that I am officially done with courses, all the days just blend together. So it's hard to remember what day is what. What did I do over the weekend? Because today feels like a weekend. I
Mm-hmm.
was walking outside. I was like, there's so many people out at 7 a.m. because I went on a walk because I woke up far too early.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, people are commuting because people work and go to things and have jobs. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, it was really nice. It's sunny, as you can see in London.
Yeah.
So that's great. How about you? How was your weekend?
Good. I was in Iowa helping out my girlfriend's family with some stuff. So we were just there all weekend, pretty much all I did. Did a lot of driving. And then I had to drive to one of our warehouses for work on Monday.
Ooh.
So a lot of driving, but I'm here. What should be a light work day today, if my boss is watching for some reason, this is happening not during work. But yeah, no, my weekend was good. I didn't catch the race live, but I watched the highlights and then eventually went back and watched the race. Man, we have some
Ooh.
stuff to talk about. Uh, is
Yeah.
there anything you wanted to talk about before we touch on the race, though?
Not too much. I originally had no new news because there's just so much I wanted
Mhm.
to cover in the race. However, while I was waiting to start this, I was scrolling through Twitter and saw that Rocket, the former sponsor for Williams, announced that a $149 million legal action against the Williams team due to fraudulent statements about a competitive car in 2019. So they are upset that Williams was promising a competitive car in the 2019 season and did not deliver. So now they are suing the team because they thought they were sponsoring a team that could deliver.
Look, Rocket, whatever it is.
Yeah. Come on.
Everyone thinks they have a competitive car at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Like, what did you
What
think? Like,
what
what are they
team
gonna?
is genuinely like, nah, we're pretty shit.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, it's a blank slate for everyone.
Mhm.
Technically, you'd like to think it's a bit of an even playing field as things
Yeah.
get sorted out. Yeah, everyone thinks they have a chance. What did they expect from a team that had probably been in last place the 4 years previous?
Yeah. I really don't know what it is. I don't even know. Were they only a sponsor because of Latifi?
That is a good question that I don't think I know the answer to. Uh,
Okay.
I
Because I'm
know
wondering if
Lat.
it just has to do with like him. I doubt it, but
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't
I'd have to
know.
look into it. Maybe we could touch on
Yeah.
it next episode. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I my gut reaction to this though is they just need to get over it.
Also, to be fair, the 2019 season was like 4 years ago now. Like,
Yeah,
let it go, man. Let it.
yeah, yeah. It's you've
No
recovered.
need.
I'm sure you're still in
You're
business.
fine. Yeah. But yeah, that was really all the news. We can kick it off into the weekend. I genuinely did not watch any of the qualifying. I took some notes on the highlights from it. And then during the race, woke up bright-eyed at 5:55 to hit start. Obviously the beginning was insane. And then
Yeah,
I closed my eyes during the, 15-20 laps where nothing was happening and opened them up literally as the second to last restart was
yeah.
happening when the other, four drivers were knocked out. But yeah, and if you wanted to kick it off with like a specific team or
So I guess if you don't mind us jumping around a little, I did want to talk
for sure.
about the end.
Okay.
And this is a bit of a sentiment I've been seeing around on the limited. So I'm off social media for those who don't know. So I get my news. I like Google stuff that I'm interested a couple times a week and just see what's going on. A sentiment that I am seeing, and I do think that I agree with, and I kind of understand this gripe. I have often pushed back on Europeans not wanting to Americanize F1,
Mhm.
but I think uh, Abu Dhabi in 2021 has left the FIA extremely trigger happy with red flags
Yeah.
and 2 lap restarts at the end of races. There
Yep.
was not a need for one today. And I do think it might cheapen like the work that a driver and a team could put in throughout the entire race, because it is exciting. And like if it happens every now and then, like, that's great.
Mhm.
But if you're a team and you are the dominant car in practice, dominant car in qualifying, the dominant car throughout the race, the driver puts on a masterclass, and then Latifi crashes in, the third to last lap. They throw a
Yeah.
red flag, and then all that work you put in just goes out the door, and
Yeah.
it's a 2 lap race essentially.
Right.
So I think that that's kind of where I wanted to start. I think this was another example of the FIA
Mhm.
really just wanting to cash out on an exciting finish. And I have to admit, it is to appease to Americans, and I don't like the trend.
And at the same time, they didn't necessarily race. It was just under a safety car the entire time. So they were
Yes.
finishing in the original position. So to me, I don't see the benefit in doing that. Other than, of course, and my gripe with it, and we can touch into this too, is they didn't recognize that lap leading into that last red flag as
Yep.
a lap where so they set back to the original thing, yet they still penalized Carlos, but they didn't penalize Logan, who was
Logan.
also involved in this in a crash. I sent
Yes.
you the video. He whipped back into the back
Yeah.
of Nick DeVries and caused him to crash. Of course, Logan was out too, and he wasn't even able to restart. So maybe that was why, and similar to Esteban and Pierre, they got into it towards the end, which is also, side note, super sad. I was very happy for Pierre. He would have been
Yeah.
one of my drivers of the day had that not happened,
Yeah.
because he was up in the top 10 for like the majority of the race.
Hmm.
However, at the end of the day, you can't pick and choose what you are going to recognize and what you're
Yes.
not, because if you're going to say that lap doesn't exist, then that should have removed all of those penalties. I think it was super unfair to Carlos. I don't know if it was targeted towards him or to Ferrari, or it seems like they're picking and choosing. Like, why didn't you pick Logan? Is it because he's American? Is it because he was out? Is it because he was just not doing great anyways? Or is
Yeah.
it seemed to be to try and play in favor of other teams, and I thought that really unsettled with me. So
I also thought that Carlos got a penalty and Logan did not, because I think the FIA in their minds that Carlos's crash affected the results of the podium of the race and Logan's
mm-hmm.
did not. And I don't
Yeah.
think you can set that precedent.
Yeah.
If equal
Yeah.
crashes and responsibilities happen, no
Yes.
matter where they happen on the grid, they have to be enforced the same, because
Right.
then that sets a precedent for midfield backfield teams to drive more recklessly, because it won't matter.
It would impact them. Yeah. It also just it again, like it makes it difficult to have faith in the FIA when they continue to make what seemingly seem as to like biased
Yeah.
decisions.
Yes.
So very unfortunate. Carlos's radio when he was saying please like several
Yeah.
times. Oh, that hurt. It was so sad to hear. But
Yeah.
man, yeah, at the ending of the race, I think it was totally unnecessary, the decision that they made for. And I mean, just even if they were going to reset back to the like whatever the last start was, why have them, do the last, it was so
Yes.
unnecessary.
Yeah. I do want to say before we move on from this, Pierre is a lucky guy that he did
Yeah.
not get a penalty. Um, a quick basketball reference: in basketball, there's technical fouls that a lot of times, if you talk back to the refs, if you're disrespectful to other players, you'll get a
Mhm.
technical foul, and if you get two, you get ejected. Uh, there is a common like unwritten like belief in the NBA that once a player gets his first technical foul, he can do or say whatever he wants because refs don't want to give the second and eject them. I think
Mm,
Pierre has a little bit of that leeway right now. He should have gotten a penalty and he
yeah.
should be suspended for a race because of his current penalty point situation. But
Hmm.
because of that, I think the FIA, I think it'd be awkward if they penalized him and he has to miss a race. And I
Yeah.
think they're trying to avoid that. And I think a little bit he can get away with whatever he wants. So I just wanted to say I thought he was lucky to
Yeah.
get away unpenalized from that because it was his fault.
It was, and I was shocked, honestly, that they did it,
Yeah.
especially when they gave Carlos one. So
Yes.
at the same time, too, maybe they reckon the same with Logan. They could have just deleted it because it did
Yeah.
impact the ending of their races. Like
Hmm.
it technically, he was already kind of penalized by not being able to finish the race, not getting any points. Same with Logan. He would have been in points, but like he didn't get to finish the race,
Yeah.
and so maybe they just recognize that. Whereas Carlos was still driving, and so he still technically would have finished in fourth. So maybe that's why that they penalized him and not the others.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's a good precedent to set. But
Yes.
yeah, I totally agree. Pierre was very lucky he didn't get penalized.
And poor Yuki. Yuki
I
should have been in
know.
fifth place.
He
I,
and you know what? Yuki, I don't know if you saw this, but Yuki got up to fifth before the crashes. It wasn't just as a
yeah.
result. It was
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
actually did it.
Yes. And like they set up, like we said, this spectacle last two lap finish.
Hmm.
Everybody crashed. So they were like,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. That didn't count. But
Yeah.
Yuki should be rewarded for not crashing. Like
Yeah.
that was impressive and not crashing, getting up to fifth. And then because the FIA doesn't like what happened on their restart, he drops back to what, 10th?
And he only got 10th because Carlos dropped to the bottom
Right,
because of the
right.
penalty. So otherwise he would have finished 11th again. And it just sucks because he worked so hard and he's been working hard all season. So
Yeah,
yeah, kind of bitter for him. It was also, who else did it really hurt? I have my notes. I should be looking at them. It also, I mean, also Oscar and Lando would have scored more points
yeah,
prior to. I mean, Oscar was still the first rookie to get points this season. He finished ninth. Oh, the Alfa Romeos, both Valtteri and
yeah,
Joe would have been in points, but Valtteri ended up finishing, I believe, 11th or 12th.
yeah,
11th because Carlos was 12th. And then let's see. I think going back to some of these other crashes, maybe we can just cover some of
yeah.
these incidents and then talk about some of the other drivers.
Sure.
The first one, Carlo or Charles. I know you have some thoughts about Charles.
Yeah,
I really don't even have anything to say. I'm just so like it's just so sad to see that he only has 6 points. He's had two DNFs in three races this season. He's
yeah,
not having a good start. I don't know if it's even like some of the mental bit of it for
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But yeah, let me know what you're thinking.
Yeah, so first DNF this year, not his fault at all.
No.
Um, this past one was. So Charles is a fantastic driver. He is one of the best drivers on the grid.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while now, the understanding has been that he like Ferrari is holding him back,
Yeah.
not the other way around. And I don't think he's holding Ferrari back. However, he needs to, and it might be unfair pressure. He needs to show that he is a top tier driver. He is Ferrari's number one driver,
Mm-hmm.
and he is a champion in waiting, and he is just a car away. And right now, he is not doing that. He is
Right.
making a lot of weird little mistakes that I would not expect of someone
Mm-hmm.
of his caliber. And he is he's making it impossible for Ferrari to they can't prioritize him as the number one. Not at
Right.
least like right now. And I think Ferrari has its own host of issues as a team,
Yeah.
but Charles needs to be put them in a situation where the pressure is on Ferrari to provide the car, not
Mm-hmm.
on Charles to perform. I think he needs to make sure he's maximizing the car he does have.
I totally agree with that. I mean, to be fair, Stroll did tap him and that caused the incident. However, they called it a racing incident because there was nowhere Stroll could go. And I
Right.
don't think Charles is used to being, you know, in the
Yeah.
position he
Yeah.
was in. He's used to being similar to Verstappen. He's used to being in like one,
Yeah.
two. So I think it was just a bad situation for Charles. But I totally agree. I think he needs to just maximize this car. Part of why I think Carlos is doing better this season, minus all of the DNFs that Charles has faced, is
Hmm.
because there's not as much pressure. Because no one's expecting Carlos to win the championship. No one's
Right.
expecting him to be this golden boy
No.
for Ferrari.
Yeah.
But Charles has so much of that weight on him, and he's had that so much of that weight, and that continues
Yeah.
to grow every race that they go into that he's not winning. And so I think it's just really weighing on him. And I hope that this like three, month long something 20-day break is beneficial for
Yeah.
him and
Yeah.
that he can like come back into this next race and have a good ending and get on the podium because he deserves it. He's a very hardworking driver. He's
Mhm.
very talented, one of the best on the grid.
Yeah.
But he just hopefully he gets to show it soon because it sucks. It sucks to see. Not even just as
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
Charles fan, but just as a Formula One
Racing
fan.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And it's not fair pressure, but
Hmm.
if you want to be a world driver champion, it's pressure that comes with it.
Yeah.
Charles was given the longest contract in Ferrari history. He cannot be losing to Carlos Sainz.
No.
Like, I know there's context there, but he just can't.
Right.
So,
Yeah. It's really gotta they have to just work together and
yeah.
listen to each other and, go into it in a different mindset than they're in now, both the team and him.
I did not expect the team to fall off this hard. I
No.
thought they were going to lose to Mercedes. We both did not know about Aston Martin.
Hmm.
I expected them to keep it a little more competitive, at least throughout the season. It does look like they are just a notch below now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I really don't know what to expect from them this
yeah,
season. I don't know what's gonna happen, especially with Mercedes. We can move into
yeah,
Mercedes now if you want. I think I mean, they're really picking it up. So,
yes.
so happy to see Hamilton on the podium again.
Hmm.
It's always such a good feeling. He really deserved it. It
Yeah,
was really sad that he couldn't hold off for Verstappen, although I think it was kind of inevitable with the speed of Red Bull. But
yeah,
if Mercedes is doing these improvements that they say they are, and they're making all these changes, I could see them, holding off Red Bull a little bit longer, later into the year, or
yeah.
maybe winning a race depending on, what's happening in the back of the grid. So we'll see. But
Yeah,
uh,
I think Mercedes firmly looks like the second team. Aston Martin, their like little magical run at the beginning here looks
mhm.
sustainable, but I do think Mercedes does look like the second best team.
Also, you have to factor in Mercedes has two insane drivers.
Yes.
Aston Martin has
One.
Alonso
Yeah.
and and then Stroll. And not to discredit Stroll, I mean Stroll has been really impressive in the car that he has, but he also regularly gets involved in mishaps. He's constantly tapping people.
Yeah.
And he tapped someone, I swear to God, in every race this season, and there's only been 3. And it's just like, bro, like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so hard to justify it. And like
It's tough because he's kind of a fast driver, but he lacks like the
awareness.
awareness. Yeah, yeah, like he's not slow.
No.
He's never been slow. He
Mm-mm.
just like doesn't look at his blind spots, doesn't check his mirrors. I don't know what it is.
It's just, I mean, God, like you've been in it for years, bro. Like just figure it out. Like look in
Yeah,
your mirrors. They're there for a reason. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Just yeah, that irks me a lot. If you couldn't tell. But
yeah.
I agree. I think Mercedes is second best right now. And then George, I will say he had an amazing start in the beginning.
Yes.
Really impressive.
Uh-huh. And then him and Hamilton got 1-2.
Uh-huh.
And Hamilton started to push because you're in
Yeah.
first and second. You guys gotta go. Max is behind you. You gotta go. And George gets on the radio like, "Why is my teammate pushing me right now?" And look,
Hi, we're racing.
up until this point, George Russell has not raced in high stakes racing.
Mhm.
He just hasn't. You're in first place Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Fernando Alonso are the three drivers behind you. Team dynamics and
Hmm.
team cordiality and manners are not at play here. You have three world driver championship drivers directly behind you. Lewis Hamilton is not like settling in behind you at your like tire management pace. You gotta go. That's all I wanted to say about
No.
George.
No, I totally agree. I think
He
I
was
think
like, "Oh, what's
now,
going on here?"
what do you mean? Yeah, I think, and then too, when he, inevitably his car, the back of his car was on
Yeah.
fire. That really sucked to see. But I saw a lot of people joking on Twitter, like, oh, he's in his villain era now. Uh, yeah, I agree. I do think he's getting a little confident and a little more pushy with competing
Mhm.
against Lewis, because to be fair, I mean, he did amazing in his first year
Yeah.
with Mercedes, and he has the speed and he has the talent, and I could totally see him competing for a world championship at some point.
Yes.
However, as long as Hamilton is there, I'm sorry, but he is the priority if
Yeah. Yeah.
possible. Like, if
Yes.
and because not even just because it's like, oh, he's been with the team longer, or oh, they just like him more. It's like, no, because he's actually capable of winning a championship, and so
Yes.
they're going to allow him to race and push when he wants, because he can do it and he can
Eh,
perform. And yeah.
yeah, and like I mean, eventually, if Lewis wins another championship, it's
Hmm.
going to come down to Max. We're going to see Max and Lewis have another week in, week out, just going at each other, and that is a class of racing that George needs to understand that he
Hmm.
either has to keep up with or just get out of the way of.
Yeah.
And I think, questioning team motives, team orders, team whatever, when
Hmm.
you're in first and Lewis and Max are behind you, like you got to have a little bit more awareness than to get on the radio and be like, hey, what's the meaning of all this?
Like, it's not the same situation as when Checo was leading and this entire that race the entire time,
Yes.
essentially, and then they were like trying to tell him to go slower, pretty much so that Max could pass him.
Right.
It's not the same kind of situation,
No, no.
because no. So,
Right.
um, because I mean, well, I mean, no, because yeah, no, it's not the same situation because
Like
Checo was fine.
if
Because
Checo was in
Checo could
first,
win.
if Checo was if Checo was in first and Max was in second and Lewis was in third, they would tell Checo to get on it or get out of the way.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. And the only reason why he was able to stay in that position was because he had the fastest speed and he was
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
keep up with it. So of course he was going to keep racing in first. Like, there was no
yeah,
reason why he needed to move. But when you have, yeah, again, like when you have, Alonso, you've got all those other drivers behind you, like coming in hot, you've got to, push. So
yeah.
we'll see.
We can move into Red Bull next. I said a couple things I wanted to say on them. Checo, tough weekend, but good recovery.
Mhm.
Starting from the pit lane.
I'll be honest. I him and Hulkenberg, I'm sorry, did bare minimum to get into the positions that they did.
That's a
Like,
good point.
yeah, he finished the race. Yeah, he got like fifth or sixth or whatever. But you know what? The man put like he passed like five people, I think, that entire race, which is not a lot when you're
No,
starting from 20th.
yeah,
I'll be
that's a good
honest.
point. Yeah,
So the only reason he got up, even honestly, into the top seven is because of so many people crashing. Otherwise, he was
yeah.
still would have been in like ninth, 10th, maybe. So,
He did not come out good of the crashed restart. But because they did not take the positions from that lap, he
mhm.
got fifth.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, I guess I meant like decent points recovery as far as,
fair.
no points to fifth place. But yeah, Checo, tough weekend. Hopefully next race,
Hmm.
bounces back. I do think that we saw how fast the Red Bull is today
Hmm.
because Max won and he drove kind of like shit. He did not drive like the Max we're used to.
Mm-mm.
Terrible starts. Uh, Pace was not on it. Just not a typical Max Verstappen weekend, but was
No.
still able to win. When you win a championship, your car is going to be great. And
Hmm.
sometimes the car just carries you. And
Yeah.
Max obviously week in week out puts on incredible performances. This was not
Hmm.
one of them.
No, I was actually surprised it took him that long to get up to the front.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
as soon as George was leading, I was like, okay, where's Max? Like wrap this up. But
Yeah.
it didn't happen. So I was kind of shocked, honestly. I don't know if it was just a different strategy they were doing. I don't know if it was tire management, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I know it was really, really hot there,
Yeah.
obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was kind of shocked, honestly. Not his best race.
No. But still won.
Yeah, still one, still no problem.
Yeah.
Still pretty much had it in the bag. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Baku's next in a few weeks at the end of April. So I actually really enjoy that track. So it'll
Yeah.
be interesting. But
Yeah.
who else? Magnussen was doing all right, and then his car, I don't know, broke apart and
So I actually looked into what happened with
okay.
Magnuson when his wheel popped off.
Mhm.
There was a curb on the track, and I
Okay.
hit these sometimes when I go karting. There's some of them have like rumble strips on them,
Oh,
like
I
on
see.
the expressway. And I guess Magnuson was more than any other driver hitting the rumble strip with his back right tire, and his tire just
Oh.
exploded.
Jesus.
Because I didn't understand what happened there, but yeah, I
Mhm.
guess there was a specific curb that Magnuson was
Mhm.
hitting more than other drivers, and it just popped his tire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yes.
Oh. Oh. And then Hulkenberg almost had the opportunity to be on podium if they didn't do the restart in the old position, and then Carlos would have obviously gotten the penalty, so he would have been in third, which
Yeah.
would have been cool because he's never been on podium before and he just rejoined. However, again, it's like he really the only reason he got there was because everyone ahead of him crashed, blew up, like set on
I
fire. But a win's a win.
yeah, I do think we have to like. I mean, there has to be some credit given for not crashing. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, especially when eight drivers are
Yeah.
out, to be in the top the 12 that survive, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone should get points for that, but
Hmm.
most drivers did. And then I'm devastated about Albon. He was
Yeah.
doing so well this weekend, not even just on Sunday, but the man was doing, he had a great qualifying. He was keeping his position up really well. And then, of course, I think it was his brakes again or
Yeah.
something. Man, they're having the same issues over at Williams. I have a hot prediction. I don't think
Oh,
it's going to happen, but I do have a prediction
let's see.
because Albon has just been doing unbelievable. I think Red Bull is going to take Albon back in the 2025 season because I think he still has
Okay.
2 more years at Williams.
Yeah.
So I think in 2025, they're either going to take Albon, put him back in Red Bull, or put him in AlphaTauri, and then take Daniel and either put him in AlphaTauri or put him in Williams. If Williams is becoming a better team, I
Yeah.
could see Daniel coming to Williams and then them taking Albon back. They'll be like, we give you this guy if you give us our guy.
Yeah.
I could see them doing a trade in like 2025, totally. But
Yeah.
that's on a lot of if, ands, and buts.
The Williams though does look to have potential
Oh, yeah.
for the first
I'm
time in a
excited.
while.
I'm excited because I really do enjoy the Williams team.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
been sad to see them struggle for the last few years,
Yes.
6 years probably. So I'm very excited for them if they can, if Albon has the opportunity to be in points more this season, it would be
Yeah.
amazing to see.
I that's pretty out there theory, but I don't think it's impossible. I mean, Williams getting better
Mhm.
with McLaren just biffing it this year. I am actually more confident that Daniel Ricciardo will be in F1 again
Mhm.
because we now see it was not him.
Right, 100%, 100%.
So yeah, I mean, I think the possibility is there.
Yeah, man, I don't know, guys. Logan has 1 year contract. Like, you've got
I
other options.
I will say though, Logan is impressing me.
He is. He's performing far. He's performing better than I anticipated. Nick is performing
Yeah,
less than I anticipated. Oscar is
yeah,
about what I expected,
yeah.
especially with the car that they have. Um, so yeah, I mean, do I think Logan should have gotten penalized for,
Yes.
running into the back of
Yeah.
Nick? 100%. Also, I do think Nick, props to him. He did have a good race. I think
Yes.
he was doing quite a bit of overtaking. I mean, he's still, I think he might have been 10th or something or 11th. He was close. He was doing pretty good
Mhm.
before he got rammed. So, yeah, but those I think all the thoughts I had on this race.
Yeah.
I think we've covered everything. It was a lot,
There was a lot going
especially
on
at
there.
6 a.m.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really feel like I need to touch on. Three races in,
hmm
what has surprised you? What hasn't?
I think Aston Martin has been the biggest surprise. I
Yeah.
did not expect that. I should have anticipated a better car, knowing Seb was pushing so hard for Mick to join the team, because I don't think Seb would have done that if he didn't believe in it. And I know Seb did so much work with them. So I should have
Yes.
expected it. And also like, why would Alonso go just for like another trap car?
Yeah.
Um, I think they were the biggest surprise, and Ferrari, of course, is the biggest disappointment so far this season.
Yeah.
How about
I think
you?
for Ferrari, Aston Martin, biggest surprise. Ferrari,
hmm
uh, probably biggest disappointment. Also, a big disappointment for me, Alpine. I mean,
Yeah.
they just did not take a step in any direction. They are just
No.
gonna finish in fifth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I did expect, I especially expected more from both drivers. One, because
Yeah.
Ocon has been in with the team for a while now. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
also Pierre was an incredible driver with Red Bull and AlphaTauri. And then last year was hard to judge him because the car sucked.
Yeah.
So I just expected it to be a little bit different. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one too. Do you have any Baku predictions?
Baku predictions. I think Checo bounce back, at least a podium.
hmm
Um, and I think we get a good Lewis and Alonso battle.
Okay. I can see
That those are
that.
my predictions. Those are my predictions. Logan, double Williams points.
Ooh, okay. You think Logan's getting his first
Yeah,
points? Okay.
yes, he's been close.
He has been close. That's
Yeah,
fair. That's a good point. I think in one Aston Martin DNF. I think Carlos finishes ahead of Charles again.
do you
I
think
think
do you think Charles falls out of the top 10?
I don't know. Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think so. Not this round. Maybe if I don't think if he finishes in the top five, then no.
Okay, yeah,
So I think it's gonna be like Max, Checo,
Alonso,
Alonso, Carlos,
George.
Charles.
You think he could beat George right now?
I think if he can finish the race, yeah,
That's a
I
good
think
point.
he's a better
That's a
driver.
good point.
And I
Yeah,
think I think the Ferrari car in itself is better. They just have to work together. So I think with the right strategy, if they can like figure it out for Baku, I could
yeah.
see them, yeah, beating both. I think they could both beat both of the Mercedes if they can both do the strategy
Ooh,
right.
I think we might disagree here. I think the Ferrari is a class slower. I think it's just a notch slower than the Mercedes.
I mean, you're probably right, but I don't think so.
Okay. I think it's a notch slower, and I think to beat Mercedes, the strategy and tire management and everything
Yeah,
management has to be on it.
that's
And
true.
I don't know if I believe I think if the car was outright faster, we
Yeah,
would see them beating them more.
that fair enough. That's a fair point. I think McLaren gets points again.
Both are one.
One.
One. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get one Alpine, one McLaren.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, even though it's a few weeks down the road. But
Yeah. It's also at
this,
6 a.m. your time, I think.
why won't we think about the Americans a little more?
Make it more Americanized. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This was a fun race to go over.
Mhm.
This was the first like real exciting race this year.
Yeah. There's more to talk about than just, Red Bull, they're doing great.
Yeah, yeah.
Ferrari's not doing great. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Great.
Follow us on all socials at BreakCheckF1. Megan, any parting words?
No, I feel like no.
I always feel bad. I always say to follow us on socials and like thanks for listening. And then I go, Megan, you have anything else to say?
No, it's pretty much it. Follow us on socials. I'll be there. Won't be working. So
Little career joke right there for
yeah, it's
everyone.
fine.
All right. I'll play the music. Thanks.